K10. And check it out. Today we are in the desert. The desert is a place where there's not a lot of water. So it's really dry and really sandy. And there are a lot of special plants and animals that live in the desert. I want to show you a plant that I saw earlier today. I will give you a hint though. It is very pokey. Maybe the pokiest plant you've ever seen ever. Do you know what plant I'm talking about? I'm talking about the cactus. Check this out. This is a barrel cactus. And it's called a barrel cactus because it's shaped kind of like a barrel. And a barrel cactus can live to be over 100 years old. Can you believe that? And a barrel cactus has a lot of very sharp spikes on it. Ouch! And the reason why it's so sharp and pokey is because a cactus has to keep safe from all the animals that might want to eat it. Ooh, me? This gives me a clever idea for a crafternoon. We can make a cactus that doesn't hurt when you touch it. Yes! Okay, here I go! Oh, but wait! We're gonna need a rock to help us out. Come on! Whoa! Okay, so we're at our crafting table and we have our rock, which is going to be our cactus that doesn't hurt when you poke it. So to start, I'm gonna use a little bit of scrap cardboard just to be the working station so I don't get the table dirty. And I'm going to grab our palette. I'm using a real palette, but if you have a paper plate you wanna use, or even a real plate that you can wash and use again, you can use that too. And so I want to make my cactus green. So I was thinking we could use these paints and maybe mix them together. To paint this rock, I think I'm going to use a nice big paintbrush. I'm just going to start mixing these colors a little bit, but not a lot. And I'm just going to start painting this rock. And look at how nice that looks when you use a few different colors on your brush. It always adds a nice thing that artists call dimensionality to your painting. So see, you can kind of see a little bit of the blue in there and a little bit of the green. I just think that that looks really nice because in nature, there's a lot of dimensionality when you look at plants. Like even that cactus we were looking at today, it had a lot of different colors on it. And that's a nice thing about nature, I think. Okay, so when this is all painted on this side, I'm gonna try not to get my fingers too, okay. I'm gonna try not to get my fingers too messy, but because we're using acrylic paints, those are really easy to get off our hands when we're done. And artists always have some paint on their hands, I think. It's fun to make a mess. Get that all nice and green. Okay, wow, I just love how this is looking. Take a look at that. Okay, so we're just gonna let this hang out here. Okay, balance. I'm gonna pop that in there. I'm going to wipe off my fingers. And next thing we're gonna use to make this is a pot. And I'm using, I found this at the dollar store, but you can use anything to be your pot. You can recycle a can that a grown-up says is okay to use. You could use a bowl. You could use anything you want. You could even use a cardboard tube, but we're gonna use this today. I think that'll look really cute. So what I want to do before I put this in, actually I'm gonna maybe measure it a little bit. That looks good. I think I need a little padding underneath to hold this up. So I'm going to grab some felt from my awesome tray of craft supplies, and maybe that will help pad it up. This is the part of crafting that you just have to invent the solution. So let's try that again. That is looking really good. All right. Wow. Wow, okay. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to take some glue, and this is tacky glue. You can also use a glue gun if you have a grown-up with a glue gun, but I love using tacky glue. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pour some glue in anywhere that the cactus is meeting the side of the container, just to get it all nice and in there already. And then we need to put some soil. So in the desert, there's sand, there's soil, there's rocks, as you know. And I was thinking maybe we could use some pom-poms to be our soil, because these are kind of cool because you can kind of just shove them in anywhere they need to go.
Pom-poms!
So I'm just gonna start putting in some pom-poms, just right in there to be our soil layer and our different rocks, and make it look kind of like a funny desert. Like maybe a desert where there's like a little bit extra color in the air. I've never been to a desert where I've seen soil like that. But this will be our desert. So once you got some pom-poms in here, and you know what, you can kind of like push them in so that they're poking out a bit, and also put them kind of where the glue was. It's a nice way to cover up the glue, and you know that those pom-poms are gonna stick. Okay, so now what I think we need to do is add some more tacky glue before our next layer of pom-poms. So just a big squirt of that. You can get tacky glue at any sort of art supply shop. I just love it because it's so tacky. Tacky is another word for sticky. Wow, this is looking really, really good. Sometimes I even surprise myself at how good these crafts look. Check that out. That looks so nice. So now we talked about doing the spikes part that don't poke you. So for that, we're gonna use a brush. Let's use one of these smaller brushes here. And so we're gonna kind of use this brush kind of like a stamp. So we're gonna press it into this paint, and we're gonna stamp it right on there. You see that? So we're gonna use the white paint on the green, and we're just gonna go stamp, stamp, stamp. That is something fun about different brushes. You can totally use them as brushes, like we did to paint this green. You can also use them just like a stamp. And different size brushes will give you different size spikes. Here, I'll show you. Let's use this big brush and see how that stamps. I bet that's gonna make a really big spike. Whoa, that looks cool too. Everything is always a fun thing in crafts when you can just experiment and trust your gut. Okay, let me just take one more look. Wow, this looks really awesome. And also, the shape even reminds me of that barrel cactus shape.
Ooh, pretty!
Check it out! It's our crafternoon creation! Thank you for having another crafternoon with me, Kay Penn. Bye!